Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I'm getting ready to work on some of this welding on the drill. As you can see, I've got it pretty well lined up back here now. So I've got it pulled back together to where the crack's lined up. And I got crack down in there and this out here. This would be pretty easy to get to. I could V this out and do it without too much problem. Problem's over here on the other side. Boss has come to check, see what the status is. So over here on this side, this is where it gets to be tricky. Because you can see the crack runs down in here, and that's a big thick piece there because that's where it clamps the arm to the column, like that up there. So I think what I'm going to have to do, I'll take suggestion, is to cut this all out, open this up, and then build from the bottom up. I'll have to cut this out like a pie shape and just build all this up with weld. And here's about the only way I know that I can do that. Get in there and get that up. Because there's really no good access otherwise. It's all hidden behind the column. So maybe I'll show up a little bit. You can see there the hole in the ear and the cracks right over there in that corner runs up through there. So I need to maintain that hole position for the clamp to match on the other side, and that machine flat surface for it to lock onto. It's only like I have to cut across the bottom and come up to the outside where I can weld just that ear on, then come back and put the window back in and sew it back up on the back side. So definitely not going to be pleasant to do, but I think that's the only way I can get it and get it welded. Otherwise I could just jam in there and get it stuck as best I could, but that probably would just end up being a problem later on. So probably cutting it up and putting it back together in pieces is going to be the best bet, I think. So you expert welders out there, I'm more of a machinist than a welder. So anybody with lots of experience with welding this kind of stuff, feel free to chime in. So not going to tackle that today. So I guess I've got a welding table now, at least, if nothing else, right, Adam? I got this drill table that this goes on the drill for drilling. So I'm using it as a welding table today. Yeah, I'm definitely not a welder. But anyway, I've tacked this ear on here, got it back on pretty good. It was busted in 3 pieces, same as this here. It's all broke up. So I've ground bevels on here, and I've got about a 1/2 inch total width here left that I can use to line this up with. Right there, that's where it mates. So I'm just going to tack it and then run my heat up hot. I'll have to lay it down. That's going to be a problem. If I didn't V that all the way out on the drill, I can't really run the heat jacked way up like I'm doing here in order to get the penetration down in there. So it's going to have to be done in stages on that, I think. But right now I'm just welding this with some 7018s. It seems to be working pretty good. Haven't tried the nickel. Also haven't tried drilling it afterwards. But it hadn't cracked on me, so I'm pretty tickled with that. So we'll see how this does on this side. So also I'm not sure how this camera will do with arc shots. I did cheat here. I guess I brought the Miller Dinosaur down here to weld with. I'm cheating, I'm using the high frequency on it. I know they don't advise that on stick, but I find it works really good. So that's my secret, maybe. Yeah, that's not awful. So I think that'll hold it together. Well, that's that mess. This is time to do some grinder action, clean this up. I can't say it's the most gorgeous thing ever was, but when it is back in one piece. Of course, this hole had to be bored back out. I guess I ought to see if it's gonna break. Well, they didn't break off, and I don't see any cracks. So maybe that'll work. Looks a lot better than it did when it was in 3 pieces. If your video is dropping, you can see it busting and flying off over the trailer. So I said broke it. There's a 7 or 8 pieces welded back together here to make this back in 1 piece. It's not a Jody weld job probably, but I think it'll work. Well, that's it for this. If anybody's got any ideas or suggestions on welding this up, I definitely appreciate them before I get to cutting big windows and chucks and trying to weld it all back up and fill it back up. And like I said, fortunately it does seem to be welding pretty decent. I said with this 7018 DC positive or DCEP and using the high frequency, that seems to really help a whole lot doing this. Certainly appreciate everybody's support on the donations on getting this thing fixed, so I'll definitely have to do a good job on it to try and pay everybody back for the outpouring of support. I certainly didn't expect that, and I still don't expect it, so it's totally up to you all, whatever you do there. I'm not asking for anything, you know, I'm fine on this, you know, it wasn't that big of a dollar deal, and I'm more tore up about breaking the floor than anything. The drill's pretty easily replaced, the floor's not so easy to replace, but I think it'll be fine. All right. There you can't hardly tell. One more thing, some people have asked about the accuracy of this machine and whether it's destroyed and out of tram and all that, but you know, my original plan was to use this in conjunction with the horizontal boring mill, swinging the arm out over the table, so however the column is in relation to the base wouldn't really make a whole lot of difference because I'd have to level it in relation to the mill if that was what I was mainly going to use it on. But the reality is I suspect that this is a drill. I don't know how many people have ever trammed their drill. Does anybody tram their drill press besides Stefan? I imagine he probably trams his drill press in and knows exactly, you know, that it's running within a few tenths of a millimeter probably. But most people, I don't imagine, have ever checked tram on a drill press to see how it runs. So I'm gonna guess that this is probably as good as it ever was. I mean, there's somewhere in the ways on here, after 75 years, it's to be expected that there would be some. But when you're poking holes, it typically doesn't matter. You're usually not looking for that kind of accuracy in a drill hole. If you were boring holes with it, maybe that'd be a different story, but this is a drill, not a boring tool. Not that you couldn't do that with it, but it's not really the intended purpose. It's not set up for that because there's no way to accurately position too much. There's no scales or readouts or anything on here anyway. With a radial arm drill, typically you're working from layouts and you're just lining up on lines and drilling holes. And that's what it's made to do, and that's kind of what I had intended for it. You know, other than I wanted to be able to use it on the boring mill, so if I was doing a shaft or box or something and it needed a hole at a 90-degree angle, like for a pin, or you know, to retain a pin in like a loader frame or something like that, I could swing the arm over it and drill it in one setup. So that's my idea for it. Also, the reason why it needs to be fairly tall, so I can get up tall enough to swing over top of the boring mill. So that's my discussion on that, and I'd definitely like to hear what your all's results are on the trams on your drill presses. When I get this all done, I'll check it out and see how it is, put a level on it or something, and compare the base and the top. It would probably be the easiest thing to do. So, for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll catch y'all later.